How's it going, everybody? Today is April the 11th. It's already Sunday, April the 11th. I cannot believe that. If you've never tuned into my channel, basically what we do, I put a video together back in the summer. I was flying down the lower 48, buying vehicles and driving them up through Canada during this crazy COVID mess. And I enjoyed the heck out of myself and kind of learned the system. And I put a video together and I thought, well, maybe it'll help 5 people and 2,500 people or 26 or whatever it's up to now watched the video, liked it, started asking me questions, emailing me questions. So I would do a couple of videos here and there, and then now I'm doing a weekly video, and I'm having people reach out to me. So I know I'm no longer doing the trips like I was. I've done it quite a few times, but I'm no longer doing it like I was. But everyone's updating me, so it's been pretty awesome. I'm hearing from several people a week. Today is going to be probably a longer video. I've got a couple of things. If you watch my last week's video, I did say we would go over lodging stops today. Because of all the emails I have and all the questions to answer, I'm going to go over lodging, like I said, but I'm not going to go over it in detail like what I plan to do next week. So we'll see. But we got a lot of great questions that really need to come out. And I've also decided, not everyone, I've got a lot of people follow me every week. And I guess I'm under the assumption, which is crazy on my part, that people are watching every week, every week, every week. And some people are. And I know in today's world, we're all busy, but I'm having a lot of people watching one video. For example, like last week's, I didn't talk about any of the criteria coming through last week. So I've decided at the end of every video, I'm going to go over the details of what's required to get through, what's required to have for paperwork. And and the reason I'm doing that at the end, for those of you that watch me every week, you can hit stop and not waste your time because I know we're all busy. But I think it's super important to get all the criteria out to everyone. So we're going to do that. I got something kind of cool for you on this video, or at least I think it's cool. If you've been listening to me for any time, I've been threatening to get some kind of video editing equipment, which I have not had the time to do. My new job is definitely consuming a lot of time. I'm enjoying it quite a bit, but I haven't been able to put the time into editing videos. I've just been doing it through Zoom or just doing it through a free app. So I'm going to throw some videos to this one, and they're not going to be edited either. So, but I think you'll like it. And before you watch it, so we had an awesome couple that we met on YouTube come up. Levi and his wife Chrissy came up from Kentucky. Levi's a state trooper in Kentucky and about to become a trooper up here in Alaska. For those of you that's watched me long enough to know, I've talked about what I've done in the past. I used to be in law enforcement. It's weird how life always puts you back in the path of other law enforcement people. Birds of a feather flock together, that's for sure. Anyhow, I met this wonderful family this weekend. I had the opportunity to take them flying around here in Palmer and up the Matsu Valley to the Matsu Glacier. We like to not get back into Palmer. The winds picked up. It was a crazy landing. We did good. It was an awesome time. We had a great time. Super excited to see them moving up to this great state of Alaska. That's just one of the amazing couples that I actually got to meet from this video. So it's been so awesome. But basically what I'm trying to do with this video is to have one central location that everyone can compile information. We can answer questions. So people are emailing me during the week. I'm answering questions and going over them. And I'm also going over their journey back through. And it's been really successful. It's helped a lot of people out. So if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. Like I said, we're doing a different video every Sunday. For those of you that's been watching me, my grandmother is still stronger than I am. She's still hanging in there. My dad said yesterday she's kind of turning for the worse, but we've been thinking that for 3 or 4 weeks now. So only time to tell. I'll do this video every Sunday, and if there's one Sunday I don't, you'll know it's because I'm dealing with the death of my grandmother, which probably will happen sooner than later. But hey, she might outlive all of us. The next, I'm going to throw about 3 to 4 minutes of flying video. Christina and I went up yesterday. And a lot of people that are moving up here never even been up here. I'm coming across that. There's so many people that move up here that's never even been in the state of Alaska, and they don't know what the Matsu Valley looks like. They don't know what Palmer looks like. I will go over that for 2 seconds. Anchorage is an absolute dump. I promise you. If you love Seattle and Portland, click on CNN, watch all the riots. We don't have riots here, don't get me wrong, but there's still crazy lockdowns. It's eased up some. Anchorage is not the place to be. We personally live in Palmer. And if it was up to me, we'd live somewhere like Kenai or somewhere way further away from Anchorage. Anchorage is nice to have because I'm going to go to Costco in a few minutes. It's nice to have all those wonderful luxuries, but to me, it's worth the drive to get out of the crazy liberal mess in Anchorage. And I don't want to bring politics on here, but it is what it is. So Christina and I went out yesterday. We did a quick little flight, and we literally, I just said, "Hey, you want to go play in the airplane?" She says, "Yeah." So we rented an airplane. We got to buy another one. I'm talking her into it, and we went and we just literally went to Birchwood, which is right up the, it's like an 11-minute flight from Palmer. Just did a few touch and goes and just had a ball. And while we did it, we took the GoPro, and we haven't used this GoPro in so long. We don't have any of our mounts that we used to have in our other aircraft or anything. So Christina was holding it, and I don't know, it'd be like trying to hold a camera on a boat. You're going up and down, up and down. So the video might get you a little drunk, and it's not edited. I can't speak today, but at least it shows you just how beautiful it is. So I'm going to post those after this, and then we'll come back and get to the meat and potatoes of this meeting today. We got a lot of cool emails to go over, so stay tuned. If you don't like airplane videos and you don't want to see what it looks like, just fast forward, and then you'll see the next video next. But just stay tuned, and I think you'll like what we're going to show. It's really beautiful. All right.
Record. That's recording. So that's got us here. You control this. How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? We're about to do a takeoff here in Palmer, and we're just heading over to Birchwood. We want to make today a little bit different of a flight. So you get to ride with us in the cockpit, and you can look at that where you're filming. Lights, camera. Palmer, traffic, Cessna 70052, taking runway 34, will be a left downwind departure, Palmer. You ready?
I am.
All right. Airspeed's alive, a little bit of right wind correction. And she's up. Look at all those pretty mountains. And then we're about to show them over Palmer. If you want to shine it to the right, and then we'll make a left turn for Palmer. That pretty mountain view. Beautiful, isn't it?
It is beautiful.
Palmer traffic, Skyhawk 70052, turn a left crosswind. About to be departing the area in a left downwind. Palmer.
Aircom Palmer is taking a Rio. Palmer is contract 5 back.
We'll hold that. You want to go ahead and cut it off?
Alright.
We're recording? Alright, we're on final 300 feet, 0.7 out. A little high. We're coming in. Make this a touch and go straight out. We're just kind of aiming for this fence right now. And then once we aim for the fence, we're going to move our eyes a little bit back up. Now for the numbers. Got the runway made, power comes out. The nose off, there you go. That's a soft field landing. Ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
And we'll keep her in ground effect. Our airspeed build up. And we'll pull up, miss the treetops. Look at that. That's how it's done.
And Birchwood traffic 70052 will be departing the area, straight out departure.
Look how beautiful that is. Still recording?
Yes.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this is Christina and Adam. If you've never watched our videos, we give tips about how to get up to this beautiful state of Alaska through Canada with all their crazy liberal lockdowns. And we've tried to do weekly updates every Sunday. This is currently Saturday, and we're doing our video. So we hope you enjoy it. We added a little bit to it just to show you how pretty it is. We'll bring you back with us and show Palmer as we're getting closer by. And we look forward to answering all your questions. This might be a little bit of a long video this week, but I think you'll enjoy it. We got a lot of good information coming up. Remember, we went up and flew just so you can see how pretty this was. So please hit the subscribe button and please give us a thumbs up if you like what we're doing. All right, we'll look forward to seeing you on the next video.
On.
All right, here we go. We're on final for 3-4 into Palmer. Got the barn doors out, which is our flaps. A little bit of a right crosswind. Runway's made, power comes out. Holding steady on 65 knots. We're aiming for the numbers, then our eyes go off the numbers, down the runway, center line, and there we go. That's a soft field. That's a short field landing. And welcome to Palmer, ladies and gentlemen. This is Palmer, Alaska, the Palmer Municipal Airport. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you like wind, you would love it here. There's a lot of wind here. Yesterday we got to take two of our YouTubers up, Levi and Chrissy, and had a freaking blast. Landed in some crazy wind, but had a blast.
Palmer traffic, Scott 70052 is off the runway on Bravo, taxiing to park in Palmer.
And we will talk to you and update you tomorrow.
I hope you enjoyed those plane videos.
Have a good day.
We just were playing around, having a good time. It took some videos of the area, just kind of showing how beautiful it is. Like I said, I apologize for all the up and down. We literally have no video equipment other than one GoPro and one cell phone. So, and we got to get all that. We got to take the time, and I've been saying it for months now, but it is what it is. You know, life always gets in the way of everything. I am at the end of the video, like I just said, I'm going to go over the requirements. So I'm going to save that for the end, for the most part, some of the questions. I do want to bring up one thing, and I'm going to bring it up again at the end. I'm getting a lot of questions about the Arrive Canada app. Do not download the Arrive Canada app. And I know it's confusing. You go on Canada's website, you look, it tells you to upload the app. You upload the app, it'll say, where are you going to quarantine? The answer is you're not quarantining anywhere. You fall under a unique loophole. You're the only people that don't have to quarantine driving to Alaska. And we're going to go over a lot more of that at the end. It might be worth it watching the whole thing if you haven't, because I am going to cover some stuff and I'm going to cover the essentials. First thing I want to do is go over emails. I got a lot of emails. I just got an email 5 minutes ago from, I'm probably going to mess this name up. I'm horrible with names. Sheila is what I'm going to say. I hope I got it right. Sheila says, hello, I came across your YouTube channel and have a question. We're wanting to move to Alaska from the lower 48 and wondered how we will be allowed to travel through Canada. We don't have a job up there, but are in the process of purchasing some land. The Canada border website says we have to have proof of a job up there and proof of residency. Would ownership of land documents work for that, or do we need other documentation for residency? I heard from different sources we need to have a COVID test within 72 hours of the border, and then they test again once you get to the border. Other sources say just 72 hours before. Not sure which is true. Our other option would be flying up with or without a shipping container, which is super costly, and it's not running regularly. The fourth option is to buy a yacht and brave the passage across the Gulf of Alaska. I think I'd do the yacht. That sounds pretty cool to me. If you can afford a yacht, the heck with Canada, right? So to answer your question, that is a tough one. I tell you what I would do, and this is probably, I'm going to answer the same question. I've already got one other email from someone else that I'm going to read soon. What I would recommend to do, it's going to cost you a little bit more money, but I think it'll cost you a heck of a lot less headache. I would fly up here, just take 3 or 4 days. You ain't got to be a week or nothing like that. You could actually make a long weekend out of it. I used to fly up here. I used to fly back and forth out of here every single week. I'd fly in on Thursday nights, Friday sometimes, and out on Monday mornings, or Monday night sometimes, depending on what I had to do for work. I did it for a while. It's not bad. And I was flying down to LA, Vegas, all these other. So I mean, it was long flights, but it's not bad. Just get first class, cocktails. Next thing you know, you're here. I would fly up here, figure out where you're going to stay. You got to have somewhere in mind to stay, whether it be at a friend's house, renting a place, whatever. Figure out where you're going to lay your head at night and get a lease. If you're pulling an RV up, go to an RV park. Get some kind of lease from them and go get your Alaska driver's license. And prior to doing this, you have to make an appointment at the Alaska DMV, and it's about a 1 or 2 weeks out to get an appointment. They will not let you in without an appointment. It's super easy to get a license up here, and the license is, you will have to take a test though. So like me, I've got a CDL with all my endorsements. I had to take a ton of tests. So make sure you study. I had to study because I hadn't taken a lot. And I even recommend studying for like the regular, driver's license, but you will have to take a written test, not a driving test. Get your Alaska driver's license, get your mailing address, get a PO box up here. If your residence ain't going to come with one, get all that sorted out. So maybe you need 4 or 5 days. I don't know. But get that established, fly back, pack your stuff up. When you get to the border, you got proof of your flight where you've already went up there and set everything up. You got proof of your new Alaska driver's license. You got proof of your mailing address up here, and you stick to the story of I'm moving to Alaska. It's my primary residence. Just tell them you own your own business, whatever. If you can get proof from an employer for whatever reason, that's like the almighty for them. They love that the most. But if Alaska's your primary residence, you can go up there. So I recommend taking the extra time, flying up there, establishing the residency here, getting that driver's license. No one I'm talking to, and me included, has had any trouble getting up here with the Alaska driver's license. That's the best way to do it, personally, what I think. That's what I would do. You can ship the container on other means other than that ferry you're talking about in your email. I'm trying to think, what is it? Tote, T-O-T-E. I don't know how often they come up. I know they're offering a lot of deals right now. I think they leave twice a week. I'm not exactly sure. Probably better than the Alaska State Ferry. Look, anything ran by the government is horrific. And the state ferry is ran by the government, and the state government here is insane. So, I mean, we got a we have a decent governor. At least he stands up for our rights. But the government itself, that whole ferry system is just a nightmare. And so it's in the news almost every week. So I wouldn't rely on anything the government runs. They could not run a McDonald's successfully, in my opinion. No government. I've been all over the world. They all suck. So I would definitely recommend, if you want to ship stuff up, use something like Tote. But personally, I would drive it up. It's a great drive. Take the extra time, fly up here, establish a residency, get a mailing address, get your driver's license. Palmer's by far the easy DMV to go to. I know nothing about Fairbanks. Anchorage is a nightmare according to my wife. So hope that answers that question, and then it'll probably go to the next one. Let me go down the line here. The next question, or the next email I got, I think it's Gordon that I probably read some of his emails. Gordon says, "Hey Adam, just arrived at my home here in Alaska early yesterday. Didn't have any issues crossing the border at Couts. I gave them my negative COVID test, told them I was going to my home residence in Alaska, and that was about it. Therefore, again, if I'm not mistaken, Gordon does have an Alaska driver's license. You got the license, it's not a problem." He says he even had 3 firearms with him. He did all the paperwork, no issues. The checkpoint station at Watson Lake. So when you come into Watson Lake, there'll be a COVID checkpoint. He just had to fill paperwork out. They're going to tell you to stay on the highway. I'm talking to a lot of people that are getting off the highway and staying in Whitehorse and are not having any issues. It's technically against the law, but a lot of people are doing it and not having issues. I've been staying at Haynes Junction just to avoid all that. But if I had to go down right now or come back up right now, I'd probably chance it, stay in Whitehorse. I don't know. The accommodations are way better in Whitehorse. Yeah, Whitehorse. It said they gave him 7 days. On average, they're giving people 6. You can easily do it in 3 or 4 days. And that was to get from Couts all the way to Alaska. He said that they did a second test when he got there. They wanted him to do another test, but something was broke. The weather from Fort Nelson to Beaver Creek Station was pretty bad. Roads were really snow-packed the entire way. Very strong headwinds, blizzard-like conditions for many, many, many miles. Temperatures were 0. At one time, it was negative 27. I can't stress enough, and I really haven't went over this recently, so unless you've been watching me for a while, man, the winter tire requirement, the only way you're going to get caught at it's if you wreck. No one's going around checking tires. The winter tire requirement, or to have chains, and I recommend tires for a car. So to me, chains are more designed for trucks. The winter tire requirements, basically May 1st to October 1st, you need winter tire. Or I guess let me rephrase that. October 1st to May 1st, you need winter tires. When I was buying and selling vehicles, I would literally go on Facebook and buy used snow studded tires, put them on whatever vehicle I was driving up, just to have, and I did it religiously. I'm a huge believer in having good tires. I mean, this email is from this morning. So this guy just got up here. We're talking like yesterday. So it's, we're in April. We're still getting a lot of snowstorms. So there's a reason that's what the law is. You're not going to get in trouble for it. It's just a safety feature. I mean, if you wreck, they could write you a ticket for it. But that'd be the least of your worries. It's the fact that all your stuff's strode on the side of the highway, and all you did is save a couple $100 on some used snow tires. So I would recommend getting at least used snow tires at minimum, if not get new. I've been saying that since the first video I did. To me, it's imperative. And I know of 2 guys that I told that to that wrecked on the way up in a snowstorm. And I'm not trying to intimidate or scare anybody, but I definitely, I know of that of happening. So it's worth the money. The next one's kind of a lengthy email. Camille or Camilla, it could go either way. We'll call her Camille. Like I said, I'll destroy a name in a heartbeat. Is just like me. I write a novel. Everywhere I've ever worked, I started my adult life in law enforcement, so you had to be super detailed. And now I'm in the corporate world. My emails look like novels. So I get Camille. I understand Camille. So she's apologizing for the long email, but it's a lot of good questions. So listen to this. Hi, Adam. I recently have come across your YouTube channel. It's definitely taught me a lot. My husband and I will be moving to Anchorage towards the end of May or early June. We'll be driving all the way from Florida with 2 cars and a pup. I've watched a recent video with the route you take to get to Palmer, and I believe we'll be taking the same route. I'm really big on planning and making sure I know the next step. So hoping you could help me out with our trip. Forgive me, I ask a lot of questions. Entering Canada, we're in the process of getting our passports for the trip, and we know we need to get our COVID test done prior to reaching the border. I remember you saying we've fallen a loophole and we do not need the Arrive Canada app for our phones when reaching the border. How does that work? I keep seeing on the internet that we need to quarantine for 14 days. And I'm going to skip over a little bit. At the border, my issue is that my husband and I will be moving with my sister in with my sister-in-law until we can find a place of our own. How I'll be able to show proof of residency. I won't have a lease agreement in place. What can we do? We also don't have jobs lined up there yet. Would you recommend exchanging US dollar for the Canadian dollar before crossing the borders? That's a good one too. That's a good question. Gas, would you go about getting gas the same way you would in the States, paying at the pump or in the store? Are they letting you in to use the restrooms? Are there plenty of rest areas and truck stops? Accommodations, I know you posted on your last video about your travels, about accommodations. We will have a dog. Most people that go up are having a dog. Food, I've watched multiple videos of people driving to Alaska, and most, if not all, have been eating stuff like peanut butter and jelly, a shit ton of non-perishables like peanut butter and jelly, snacks, water, etc. Route, Googling has been my obsession ever since we decided to make this move. A lot of Canadian websites have given me so much anxiety. I know for a fact Canadians have been super strict with this COVID mess going on. I'm just worried about it and want to make a good path. So if you watch my last video, Camilla, I did go over the route that I recommend. So there's two ways coming from where you'll be coming from. You can either cross in Portal, which I've never done, and I'll show you on the map, or you can cross in Couch, which is what I do. There's four or five crossings they allow you to do, but for you, only those two would make the most sense. Portal will be the least amount of miles. I have not heard any horror stories from Portal. So if I were you, I love Montana. So if I'd never been to Montana, I would recommend going to Montana. If I were you and I'm just in a hurry to get up here, I'd go to Portal. And if one of you guys that are watching the video, please, that's crossed in Portal, I want to hear from you because I don't know much about that route. I know very little, but I've heard nothing negative. So if I were you, that's probably the way I would go, and we'll go over that on the map. So let's dive into your questions. You do not need the Arrive Canada app. It's going to mess things up if you have it. Don't worry about having it. It's one guy told me about a nightmare recently for having the app. Don't worry about the app. I'm telling you, you do not need the app. I know that beyond a shadow of a doubt. I've done this trip 6 times during COVID myself. I'm hearing for several people a week, most weeks. Last week I don't think I did, but most weeks I'm hearing from at least 1 or 2 people that has made this trip. None of them needed the app. So you will not need the app. Don't worry with it. You're not quarantining for 14 days. You fall under the loophole. They don't want you in Canada 14 days. They think we got a disease and they want you the heck out of there. As far as paperwork, Camille, 60% of the people are getting turned around. Having your documentation, your story straight, and sticking to it and looking, you get your story straight, you get your proof straight, and you stick to it, and you don't deviate any from it, and you'll be okay. This is going to go back to what I just explained. I highly recommend taking the time, taking a little extra money, fly up here, get your sister, and if you need me to, you can email me, bigSkyBlessing@gmail.com. It might take me a couple of days to reach. I'll help you come up with the lease if you need me to. I have won the art of BS in life, I promise you. Create some little makeshift lease between as if your sister-in-law is renting you a place. Take that lease, go to the P.O. box at the post office closer, establish a P.O. box, go get your driver's license, fly back down, get all your stuff and drive up. Then you've got a lease, you got your driver's license, and guess what? I've traveled every time on my lease. I've never had to show it. You get that Alaska driver's license, everything's great. You tell them you're moving up there. Right now, we're kind of self-employed. We don't even talk about work. That's your primary residence. You're going up there. They've never asked me what I do for a living. As long as you can establish it's your primary residence, you're golden. So as far as that goes, I recommend taking that extra trip because documentation is going to be critical. If you go up there with nowhere to stay, with no proof that you have a house here, no driver's license in Alaska, they're saying, so let me back up here. People that go to the border, like I said, only 40% of them are getting admitted in, according to U-Haul. And people that go to the border that don't have their stuff together, they're going to turn them around. They have to feel like your trip's essential. So in other words, you have to prove you're moving here for a job if you don't already have a house here. You can't just prove you're moving up here for the hell of it because they're going to say your move's not essential. I hope that makes sense. However, if it's your primary residence already, then they're letting you go without question. That's why I say it's imperative under your circumstances to take the extra time, take the extra money, jump on a flight, come up here, have your sister-in-law make you a makeshift lease. I can help you with that if you need me to. you can rip it up when you get up here, but take it, go get your PO box, go get your driver's license, then go back down and have all your stuff in order. You're going home, and that's the way you need to establish it. That way, work's not even brought up, because under what you described to me, I don't think they'll let you across. So take the extra time, get your documentation in order is definitely my advice. It says, do you exchange money? Look, I used to work for Delta Airlines. I work for a little local regional airline now. And in my last job, I was a regional manager for a trucking company. I just have an obsession with travel, and I've traveled the world extensively for 11 years. In fact, this is the first time in my life I'm not traveling every week in a while, in the last 11 years. I love traveling. So this is my thing. I really want to start a Mexico channel eventually. I always recommend don't exchange your money at these exchange places. The easiest thing to do in Canada, make sure you let your bank know that you're going to be traveling. Use your debit card. Go to a local ATM, and this is true for anywhere around the world. I've never had an issue with this anywhere in the world. Go to an ATM and withdraw local currency. That way you're going to get the best exchange rate from your bank. You're going to get the current exchange rate. And I just recommend getting 80 to 100 bucks out just to have some change, and have a credit card. I just use my Capital One for everything, gas and everything. Another one of your questions was getting gas. I went over that a lot in the last video. I can send you a PDF if you want to shoot me an email, bigskyblessing@gmail.com. It breaks down how to get the gas. You're not gonna have any issues getting the restroom. You're not gonna have any issues whatsoever with any of that. And I'm gonna go over more of that at the end of the video. Food, I recommend packing your own lunch, but enjoy yourself every night. And I'm gonna go over that here in a minute. I'm gonna dive into that even more next week, but I will go over that towards the end. In case this video is long, I'll put that at the end, so we're not just giving the same information out. Yes, Canada will have you stressed out. Everybody I've talked to is like, oh, I was so stressed. I'm glad I found your videos, which makes me feel good. And I got up there, it was a piece of cake. It is a piece of cake if you have all your ducks in a row. It's super critical. The only stress you're going to have is at the border. When you get across the border, it's going to be less restrictions than you have anywhere else. I mean, no one even wears a mask. You go out to eat normal, you do everything normal. Time frame. I'm keep hearing and seeing there's a time limit. Yeah, there is, but it's 6 days for most people. This guy yesterday is 7. It's up to the discretion of the officer. I've never heard or seen less than 6. It takes me 3 nights to get through Canada. So I hope that helps. If you go through Portal, it'll take you 4 nights to get through Canada. And I think they're definitely giving 7 or 8 if you go through Portal. They're going to give you ample time. If you don't make it through in that amount of time, you've broke down. I mean, they're giving you tons of time. Robert, we just heard from Robert. He says, Adam, I made it in at Couts, Alberta, 45 minutes in line and 45 minutes at immigration for paperwork. He says, they asked me a lot of primary resident questions. Make sure you have your documentation. Thank God Robert made it through. He did have to have his negative COVID test. And I heard from Robert, he made it with no problems. Other than that, I heard from a gentleman by the name of Jaron. I'm looking forward to hearing from him. He's driving a Skagway, and this was as of a couple of days ago. So hopefully we'll be hearing from him. We'll talk about him on our next email next week. And then Patrick, I got to talk to Patrick a lot. I brought Patrick up in my last video. Patrick sent a really cool email. I'd like to read it to everybody. Patrick just made it up a couple of days ago. He said, our trip was really good. We took 6 days from California to Alaska. We stayed in Idaho, Montana, Grand Prairie, Northern Rockies Lodge, Haines Junction. We entered Canada at 5 a.m. on Easter Sunday, which took about basically 2 hours to get us through. They examined our paperwork, which included documents that proved my job change. Transferring to Alaska, our pending home sale, our pending home purchase, and a rental we're staying in until the home is complete. The job transfer paperwork seemed to be the most important to them. They are really big on that. We declared a taser my wife had, and they took it. I think we talked about that in the last video. They're really big about weapons. I recommend flying those up. They asked if I had any firearms, which I replied no, and they still searched him like crazy for firearms. Us crazy Americans and our firearms is what they think. So they did have the COVID test. He did have a blowout coming up, it sounds like. They had a couple of heavy days of really heavy snow, so that slowed down their conditions. The fuel stops that I gave last week were great. I can send you a PDF of that if you haven't seen it already. He was averaging 7 to 8 miles a gallon, which is really common. If you're coming up in a U-Haul, you're definitely going to average that. I think he was pulling something though. And he had a 26-gallon tank, and he had to stop quite frequently. and he did use 5 gallons that he brought. And he said they loved their stay at the Northern Rockies Lodge. The food was great. He says they stayed at the Best Western in Grand Prairie and enjoyed the new pub in the parking lot and had good food and good beer. Very welcoming people. Grand Prairie's kind of cool place. I really like staying there. I always look forward to it. So I'm going to try the Best Western out. The Best Westerns on the East Coast suck, but they're actually kind of nice out west, and they're really nice in Canada. So I'm going to try that one out. I've been staying at Hampton Inn. So that's another one I'm going to start recommending to people. Lastly, I made the mistake of doing the silly Arrive Canada app prior to hearing I shouldn't have. No one should do this to the drive-through. They're still calling me every day asking my wife and I for our quarantine plans and our current symptoms. So people do not do the Arrive Canada app. It's more trouble than it's worth. And Lois, I heard from her right after I did my video last Sunday. I think Lois is a her. If not, please excuse me. I told you I messed names up. Hello, I'm wanting to move this summer. I have a place in Anchorage. I'd be coming from St. Cloud, Minnesota. When I started looking at maps online, I got confused on the time frame, but I'm up for it. I'm doing this solo with a cat. I'm a good driver, just never traveled through Canada alone. I couldn't believe I found your videos online. Happy days. Thank you much. Lois, if you reach out to me, bigskyblessing@gmail.com, let's set up a time. I can Zoom with you and I can help you plan your entire trip if you want. It's nothing to worry about. It's super safe. It's super easy. And next week, I'm going to really dive more into lodging and routes and this, that, and the other. I'm going to do a brief of it today, but this video is kind of running along. But we'll dive into that next week for sure more. But Lois, if you need help one-on-one, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to we'll dive into it. We'll spend a good 30 minutes and go over it and get you the best route, the best places to stay. And yes, it's a super easy trip. Nothing to worry about. Just keep following the tips that everybody's going through. All right, let me pull up Google Maps. I'll share my screen, and we're going to go over real quick because I know this video is running long, and I apologize. I don't want to just keep rambling on and on and on, but I really do want to give you guys all the information. I got one more email I'm going to read before I go into this too. Let's see. My last email came from Jeffrey, and I still need to try to call him. I've been busy this week. He says he was thinking about flying down. He lives in Fairbanks, see his parents in Vegas. He wanted to purchase a car and drive it back. He's a bit freaked out about driving through the border. How hard is it to get across? Do you change titles for the vehicle first? Oh, I'm glad I read this email. These are great questions. Or wait until you get to Alaska. I drove down to Minnesota 10 years ago and brought a vehicle back, but I can't remember what we did with the title. I'm pretty sure I went to the DMV. The 3 things I'm worried about: how did you change the titles and get the cars through the border without any issues? Was the COVID test free for traveling or an additional expense? I was thinking about traveling up 89 to cross the border. That is better and safer than going through Washington. I appreciate your videos. I'm freaked out doing this. We live up in North Pole. So he's asking some great questions. So me, and this is my expertise, I guess you could say, because this is what I did for 6 times. I did it. Yeah, you can count it 6 because I bought a trailer to move my stuff up from Montana. I got laid off, so I had all this time in the world. So I decided, hey, let's go get our stuff that we got in storage in Montana. And I made so much money on the trailer, it literally paid for the whole trip. So then I started flying back, buying vehicles and trailers and coming up. And that's how I got into doing this whole thing. It's super easy. So to answer your question, don't worry about the title. So all my vehicles that I bought, which have been several, I fly down. I just flew down with cash, paid cash for all of them. I got lucky with all of them. They've just I said, hey, can I just borrow your tag and I'll mail it back to you when I get up there? Washington tags, they just tell you to keep it. So it depends on what state you buy the car in. All the people's been cool with me. They have. If you're not buying from a dealer, you're not gonna be able to get the dealer plate, so to speak. And I've bought them from both dealers and individuals. But I've been lucky. So they leave the plate on it, or the dealer, you get the drive out plate or whatever anyway. But just keep your paperwork. If you got a tag from up here, heck, I mean, this is probably not the most, well, it's not the most legal thing, but you could bring it, throw it on from one of your vehicles up here. They don't really even question it. So I don't know. They do run your tag when you get there. I don't know if I'd bring the tag from up here, but to answer your question, I never worried about the paperwork till I got up here. Have your title, have your bill of sale, do a makeshift bill of sale. They've actually never checked my paperwork, not once. And I've came up with plates from all over. Montana, Idaho, you name it. Never had any issues. Washington. So it's never been an issue. I've always bought an enclosed trailer. If you're going to do this, look at buying an enclosed trailer, even if it's just a little $2,000 or $3,000, because you're going to make another $2,000, and figure out something you can put in that trailer and sell it when you get here, and it'll pay for your entire trip. It's super easy. They're not going to harass you. To get back in, all you need is your driver's license. Go ahead and get insurance. So like me, I use Geico, and I like them. I've used them for years. I've had a couple of claims just for deer strikes and stuff. They're great. Whoever you use, go ahead and get insurance on the vehicle and the trailer. You won't get insurance on a trailer, but any vehicles you buy, go ahead and get insurance on it, and they'll email you an insurance card. You're going to have that proof plus your driver's license. You'll get across. It's super easy. I've got to look at the map for 89. I'm not exactly sure where the heck that's at, so I don't want to give you bad information on that. I recommend, if I was coming from Vegas, I would just take the interstate all the way to Couts. That's me. Couts is super easy. Most people I'm talking to are having no issues at all. If you go through Washington, I'm hearing there's like 0 services. And if anybody's watched my video long enough, they'll tell you I love a cocktail at the end of the day, a good hot meal, and a nice bed. I don't sleep in cars, and I don't eat peanut butter and jelly the whole time. That's just me. So I'm hearing you're going to have to sleep in cars and eat peanut butter and jelly if you go up through Washington, because there's nothing open once you get very far north. I hope that answers your question. I think you've got my cell phone number. I know we kind of tagged. We both are super busy and we played phone tag. So that's all the emails I have for now. Let me share my screen. And you know, I'm not the most savvy guy on this just yet. I'm still playing with Zoom. It's the world we live in. I better get quite used to it. Give me 2 seconds. I do know how to do it. It just takes me a minute. I know there's just a click share screen thing, but hang on. There we go. There we go. I have to have it already pulled up for it to give it an option to share. It says you're sharing a screen, so let's hope it's right. All right. So I'm going to punch in. So we're going to talk about where to stay real quick. You know what? I'm just going to do Shelby, Montana. To Palmer. It'd be the same if you're going to Fairbanks. You just stay straight when you get to Tote instead of turning left. But so let's dive into this real quick. I recommend staying at the border. So you have 2 good options, in my opinion. To me, Washington's just not worth it. It's worth the extra 3 hours just to come to. It's 3 extra hours if you're over that way, is what it basically adds to your trip if you figure it all up. I like to stay in Shelby. You could stay in Great Falls. I stay at the Best Western of Shelby. I'm 90% sure they do accept pets. I'm 90% sure. Call them and ask them. It's the Best Western in Shelby. It's really nice. It's a super nice Best Western. I stay there the first night. Your other option is going to be over here in North Dakota, so I always recommend starting your night at the, your other option is going to be Minot. You could stage right here in Minot if you wanted to. So if you're coming up from, say, Florida or whatever, Minot would be it. And my wife makes fun of the way I say that. That's my southern accent, Minot. So let's go over Shelby real quick. If you're going to stay in Shelby, I recommend staging here. Look, I'm not a morning person at all, not whatsoever. But I do recommend getting up early, because if you have car problems, this, that, and the other, it's so nice to get up early and end your day early, because if not, restaurants are closing and this, that, and the other. And at the end of the day, I want a nice dinner and a nice cocktail. That's just me. All right. Starting Shelby is what I recommend for night 1. Post up right here at the border. And then my next night, and this will be your longest day. So let's go over this again. I know I did this for gas stops. Just I recommend Google Maps. It works great, especially if you got AT&T or T-Mobile. Verizon, I think you have to pay extra. But anyway, when you get to Red Deer, right before you get to Red Deer, it's going to try to throw you on this little route right here. And I've done it, and I won't ever do it again. Just keep staying straight. Stay straight on 2 and drive like you're driving all the way to Edmonton. And it's going to put you on this little loop right here. and it'll recalculate once you get north of Red Deer. It's going to keep trying to throw you on this road for a while. Just keep driving straight. Trust me, you'll beat this time. It's a little further mileage wise, but it's worth it in the end. This way sucks. It's 50,000 turns, and it's pretty, but it sucks. So anyway, it'll loop you around here. I get gas somewhere right in here, and then it's going to just throw you up here, and you're going to connect up to here. You'll end up coming up this Highway 43. And then I recommend my first night in Canada. And like I said, you want to do this in the morning. You want to start in the morning if you're going to do this, because it's like 680 miles. It'll be the longest day. I recommend Grand Prairie. And I'm going to dive in that a lot more next week. I know we're running really late on the video today, and I'm so sorry to make it a long video. And then I recommend coming up through here. And I know I went over gas stops. So I do my first night in Grand Prairie. Watson Lake is a dump. If you take nothing from me, take that. Watson Lake is a dump. I recommend my first night right here, Mucho Lake at Northern Rockies Lodge. I get no money for you staying there. I have yet to have anyone stay there that didn't enjoy it. It's in a perfect location, right in the middle of the highway. There's nothing around, no cell phone signal. And it's absolutely heaven on earth when you've been driving all day. They have a great restaurant, but it closes early, like at 8 or 9. So that's what I say. When you're doing this drive, as much as I hate getting up early, I recommend being on the road no later than 7 a.m. every day. And that way you can get to your destination. Just Rocky Mountain Lodge, Northern Rockies Lodge is on Pacific time zone. So that'll be the first time you really realize you're in the Pacific time zone. And then so that'd be night 2's Rocky Mountain Lodge. And if you want to know gas stops, let me know. I'll email you. Night 3 can either be Whitehorse or it can be Haines Junction. Whitehorse is by far the nicer town. They just hate us Americans right now. And we're not technically supposed to go into the town. We're supposed to stay on this road. I will tell you, every hotel on this road is a dump. So if you're going to stay in Whitehorse, book a hotel downtown. And we're not supposed to be downtown, but a lot of people are doing it with no problems. So the actual nice hotels are downtown. Beautiful downtown. You can't even see the downtown from the road. What I've been doing, because it was a lot stricter when I was coming through and people's vehicles getting damaged, I had some little smart aleck at the gas station go over, excuse my language, go over the quizzing me while I was there and this, that, and the other. And so I've been staying at Haines Junction at the Cozy Corner. It's a older, probably in the 70s, brother and sister that own this motel, and they do an excellent job of keeping it clean. It's really basic, but it's super clean. It's super quiet. It's probably the quietest. You can almost hear your heartbeat. It's so quiet there. It's a beautiful town. So if you want no issues, there's Haines Junction's it. I've always just eat camping meals that night because there's not a lot of restaurants. There's hardly any restaurants. I've never ate out in Haines Junction. So if you find something good, let me know about it. And then my third night, your drive from Haines Junction up to here will be absolutely beautiful, but it'll beat the ever-living tar out of you. Tok, Alaska is where I've always stayed. If you look at the mileage, you'll look and say, oh, I can easily make Anchorage or Palmer. And you can. I hear from people that do. But, man, it's going to beat you up. It's going to be a good 14-hour day for sure. I've just always stayed at Tok, got an early morning. The next morning made it in. Can you make it in one day? Yeah, you can. But it's going to be tough. And then same goes for if you're going up to Fairbanks from here. It's just nicer just to stay in Tok. So, anyway, that's that. Stop sharing that. So we'll end this with this. I'll go over more about lodging next week. Oh, and I didn't go over North Portal. You know what? We're going to go over that next week. I'm going to really dive into it. So I think I'm going to. So North Portal, I would go to Minot, North Dakota. The first to stage is what I call it. Get up early. And there's a big town called Saskatchewan. I don't know. We'll go over it next week. It looks like the best place. I'm going to really dive into Portal next week. If you've been through Portal, I want to hear from you. Let me know about it. All right. If you've already know how to get across, you've seen all my other videos, you can just leave it now or you can listen. I'm going to dive into this real quick. And I'm going to go over this at the end of every video going forward. What are the required items to enter Canada with all this mess going on? Well, number one, no matter what's going on, you have to have a valid passport. For whatever reason, I've had several questions in the last few days about, do I need a passport? Can I just do it with my real ID driver's license? And the answer is no. But yeah, you're coming to an international country any way you look at it. So you have to have a valid passport. I know back in the old days you didn't have to, but those days are gone. You will need a proof of a negative COVID test taken within 72 hours. I'm getting a lot of questions on the test. So the test has to be taken within 72 hours prior to getting to the border. So you will need that test. Some people are doing it in their hometown. You can get the results online. It don't have to be, they'll email you the results. There is a place in Great Falls that does it free. That'll answer a question about is the test. They're going to give you another test when you get into Canada. So you got to approach the border with the negative test in hand, and it's got to be the PCR test. And they're going to give you another test when you get there, and they're going to ask you to take another test when you leave Canada, from what I'm hearing, and mail it back in. I haven't talked to anyone that's actually mailed it back in. I don't know. I probably would, just because I want to keep a good relationship with Canada, just so I can keep coming back and forth. These guys are insane. Proof that your trip is essential. There's such a misconception about the essential. Truck driver is an essential job. Pilot, aviation. There's so many essential jobs. Grocery store workers, technically an essential job. It's working right now. So don't take into consideration what you do for a living. Let me give you two examples that I know for a fact they're going to consider essential. Your trip to Canada has to be essential, not your job. So if you're moving here for a job, they consider that an essential, but you need that proof. So a lot of people are like, oh, I don't need a COVID test. I'm essential. No, you still need a COVID test. Essential would be a truck driver in a truck driving a load. Say he picked his load up in Shelby, Montana, and he's driving it to Palmer. That's an essential trip to Canada. He has to drive that load through Canada to get to Palmer. That makes it essential. He or she would not need a negative COVID test. I hope that makes sense. Another thing I'm hearing, because Canada's really screwing their citizens royally, if they fly into Canada, they have to pay $2,000 a night, if I'm not mistaken. It's at least $2,000 for the time. I think it's $2,000 a night to quarantine in one of their government-ran hotels that they pick, and they have to quarantine for X amount of days. I think it's 3 days, and if they come up negative, then they can go home and quarantine the rest of the 14 days. However, if they cross by land, they don't have to go through all that mess. They just can go straight home and quarantine. So a lot of Canadians are flying to like Buffalo, New York. I just read an article on this yesterday. They're flying like Buffalo, and they're renting a taxi cab to take them into Canada to their house. So that is that taxi cab driver is an essential trip. He's making that trip to get that person home. He was hired by the Canadian to get him home. That's essential. The trip through Canada was essential. So just because you're moving here for an essential job, don't give you the right to go through Canada without a negative COVID test. They're going to treat you the same as everyone else. I hope that makes sense, because I get a lot of questions over that. Pretty well just go to the border knowing I'm not essential, because your trip's not going to be essential unless you're in an 18-wheeler or you're a taxi cab driver, and you're not going to be neither one for this trip. They love the employment letters. So look, let me go over that. You need to show proof of what you did with your residence prior to leaving. This is true for Alaskans moving back down. They want to see if you were in a rental, get a letter from your landlord that you just completed your lease and that you moved out. Or if you own a home, show proof that you sold it. They want to know what you did with the place you just left, and they want a proof of where you're going to. So the employment letter. So if you let's say you and your wife are sitting on the couch one day and you're like, you know what, I'm ready to move to Alaska. The hell with the lower 48, I'm moving to Alaska. They're not considering that essential move. Your move has to be essential for a job. So that's where I say, to beat that system, I recommend flying up to Alaska, establishing, because I'm hearing from a lot of people that kind of have that. They're like, hey, I just want to move up there. They're not letting you through. That's why this employment letter is so important if you are coming up for a job. However, if you fly up here, establish your residency, get your driver's license, and go back down, you're just going home. You're going to your primary residency, which is allowed. That way they can't dictate your move's not essential. Your new move has to be an essential move, as if you're going for a job, not just going for the heck of it. So I hope that helps. I hope that makes sense. I'm getting a lot of emails. I got one today, the lady asking, or lady commented on my YouTube. In fact, I'll go over it real quick, and I know our video is running so long, and I'm so sorry, but there's a lot. Like I said, we have a lot to cover today. Let's go over hers real quick. She had a good question. All right. She says, I'm sorry, I can't find it. Basically, someone wrote me and said that they had to, they came through, they had to sleep in their U-Haul the entire way up here, and they're not, they never ate. That's what it was. They never ate a meal on their entire way up here. Look, at the border, they're going to tell you drive-throughs only, takeout food only, and you got to wear a mask while you drive the damn car, in case COVID goes through the air vents, I guess. What else? They're going to tell you all this craziness. Just say, okay, sign their paperwork. When you leave, take the mask and throw it in the back, because the only way they're going to know you're not Canadians if you're wearing the stupid thing, because none of the Canadians are wearing them. At least they haven't been any that I've been through there. Just go be yourself. I'm all about eating lunch going down the road, because I'm trying to get from point A to point B, and there's not a lot of restaurants once you leave Dawson Creek. You're cooled all the way to Dawson Creek. Once you leave Dawson Creek, you better have lunch planned out. But I plan my nights where I'm having a restaurant. So in Grand Prairie, we just heard from Patrick. He stayed at the Best Western. They had a cool pub. He got to eat a nice dinner. I stay at the Hampton Inn, and I walk to Brown Social House, which has never given me any trouble. It's always a good meal and a good time there. And then to me, that's essential. You got to freaking eat. And then Northern Rockies Lodge, they have a restaurant on site that you're more than allowed to eat in. And Haynes Junction, I have been bringing my own dinner. I've just been doing those little camping meals where you just pour some water in them and heat them up. And they're actually pretty good. You don't want to, they got tons of sodium. You wouldn't want to eat them the whole trip. Your blood pressure would be through the roof by the time you got up here. There is like some restaurants in Haynes Junction. I have heard everybody in Whitehorse has just gotten takeout. I don't know much about the Whitehorse scene right now, but at least for 2 nights, I'm having a good meal. I'm not eating peanut butter and jelly all the way up here. To me, that's a safety issue. I mean, I'm just not doing it. But I am probably an entitled American, I guess, because I'm like, the heck with that. Sometimes common sense has to kick in. And don't sleep in your car. Just stay in a hotel. They'll tell you can stay in a hotel. So I know in the beginning it was you had to stay in your car and all this. It's not that way. My biggest thing is use common sense. Don't make a scene, blend in with everyone, and you'll be fine. I've never had an issue. I've never heard of anyone having an issue, as long as they just be normal. And the last thing to go over, criminal history. If you've ever had a DUI, I don't care if it's 35 years ago, if you've ever had a DUI, they will not let you in. So if you had any kind of criminal history involving assaults or fighting or domestic violence, they're not going to let you in. So think about that. If you have any weapons at all, with the exception of bear spray and a pocket knife, just fly them up here. It's so much easier. I recommend Alaska Airlines Cargo, or come up here first yourself and bring it your checked luggage. It's so much easier than bringing weapons through. That's my advice. I hope you've liked these videos. Please give me a thumbs up. And if you didn't like it, if you want to hear or see more, write me an email. Again, my email address is bigSkyBlessing@gmail.com. My only goal is to help everyone. I've got a really busy life right now, and to be quite honest, I really don't have tons of time to do these videos, especially not like I should. So I'm truly doing it because I want to help people. So if I'm producing crappy videos, I want to know what can make them right. I don't want to waste time for crappy videos. I'm not trying to make money out of YouTube. I've only got like 135 subscribers. So not like I'm trying to draw a huge crowd. So tell me what I can do to help you people, because that's what I'm trying to do. Look forward to meeting any of you. Feel free to write me. I've met and talked to a ton of people out of this, and I've enjoyed every minute of it, or I wouldn't be doing it, because it is taking a lot of time, believe it or not. So, all right. I hope everyone has a great week, and be praying for you all to have a safe trip. Please email me your trip. I want to hear about it. That's how I can help everybody else. Sorry the video is so long today. We had a lot of cool information. I hope you got something out of it. Talk to you later. Look forward to seeing you hopefully next week. If not, it'll be week after next. And we will go over lodging in detail, I promise. All right. Thank you and have a good day.